You're listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast. Today is Wednesday, July 15th. Tennessee pastor Greg Locke says he and his family have nothing to hide after what he described as a pre-dawn federal raid on his home tied to allegations of misused church funds and other crimes. The Global Vision Bible Church leader told his congregation that about 60 agents stormed the property at 6 a.m., saying they batter-rammed in our front door, dragged his wife outside, and pulled children from bed while the family was still grieving the May overdose death of his 20-year-old son, Evan. Locke said agents cited online allegations involving finances and even child trafficking, then left after 3 hours with literally a few bank statements. He also claims church and personal accounts were abruptly canceled. Former church member Jen Rockwell, who runs the Unlocked campaign, said, "We haven't gotten it yet. Getting search warrants are only one step in a much longer legal process." Idaho voters will decide this November whether to keep or overturn the state's near-total abortion ban after the Reproductive Freedom and Privacy Act qualified for the ballot with more than 110,000 signatures, far above the 70,000 required and a state record. Melanie Folwell of Idahoans United for Women and Families said she was immensely proud and argued, "When it comes to making the tough decisions in our lives and in our families, we call the shots and not the government." Opponents at the Stanton Public Policy Center pushed back, with CEO Brandy Swindle saying Idaho has demonstrated that we can protect both women and their children. The law, triggered after Roe v. Wade fell in 2022, survived federal challenges over emergency abortion care, with Attorney General Raul Labrador insisting there is no conflict between EMT-ALA and Idaho's Defense of Life Act. A legal battle is brewing in Scotland after Sarah Morse, a 66-year-old American-born Catholic teacher, says she was fired from Arbroath High School for answering students' questions about abortion, Donald Trump, and transgender issues during a history class. Morse says when asked her view on abortion, she replied, "I am a faithful Roman Catholic, and I am against it," adding that others were free to disagree. She says she was later stunned to be dismissed without any sort of right of reply. Morse is now taking Angus counsel to an employment tribunal set for August 24, alleging discrimination. Backing her case, Spuck's Michael Robinson called the dismissal a grave matter, saying teachers may state legally protected beliefs if there is no attempt to persuade. Angus counsel says it cannot comment because of ongoing legal proceedings. This episode is sponsored by CrossMap. Looking for a place that fills your soul and strengthens your faith? Visit crossmap.com, your trusted source for inspiration and life-changing stories from people of faith. Have your own story to tell? CrossMap Blogs is a welcoming place to launch your own blog, publish your testimony, and share stories that glorify God and edify His people. And while you're there, sign up for the CrossMap Daily newsletter and get top Christian videos, inspiring devotionals, and stories from other content creators to strengthen your faith delivered straight to your inbox. Be encouraged, be a part, be blessed. Visit crossmap.com and you can click that link in the show notes below. Our thanks to CrossMap for sponsoring this episode. A new American Bible Society report, State of the Bible, USA 2026, suggests hardship often drives Americans toward Scripture, while regular Bible engagement is also linked to a stronger sense of purpose. Based on 2,649 interviews conducted with NORC at the University of Chicago, the survey found Bible use at 53% among those who had experienced divorce, compared with 38% among those who had not. Among people facing a life-threatening illness or injury, 48% reported Bible use versus 37% of others, and 38% said faith was a great source of comfort. The same phrase resonated with 38% of those grieving a close friend or family member. The report also found the Scripture engaged scored highest in agreeing they had a calling and understood it, averaging 7.4 out of 10. A federal appeals court has upheld the striking down of a Texas law that allowed illegal immigrants to pay in-state tuition at public colleges and universities. In a 2-1 ruling, the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with Judges Jerry Smith and Don Willett, while Judge Irma Ramirez dissented. Writing for the majority, Smith said federal law is clear that an alien who is not lawfully present in the United States shall not be eligible for state-based higher education benefits unless the same benefit is offered to all U.S. citizens regardless of residency. The court also backed a lower court's refusal to let advocacy groups, a community college, and a student intervene, saying any defense of the policy would be futile. The ruling follows a Justice Department lawsuit and comes as similar tuition policies face challenges in states including California, Illinois, Kentucky, and Minnesota. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Michigan from enforcing parts of its amended Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act against Right to Life of Michigan and Pregnancy Resource Center after the groups argued the law would force them to hire employees who support abortion and include abortion coverage in health plans. U.S. District Judge Robert Jonker issued a preliminary injunction saying the plaintiffs were likely to succeed on the merits because the law could substantially burden their expression and threaten the very mission of the organizations. Alliance Defending Freedom attorney Brian Neihart said, "The government can't force pro-life organizations to sabotage their own beliefs." Right to Life of Michigan President Amber Roseboom called the ruling a welcome reprieve, adding that forcing such groups to hire staff opposed to their life-affirming mission is a wild misuse of power. Conor McGregor says his faith is carrying him through a painful setback after his long-awaited UFC return ended just 69 seconds into the first round at UFC 329 in Las Vegas. The 37-year-old suffered an apparent knee injury against Max Holloway, with referee Mike Beltran stopping the welterweight bout for a TKO due to injury. Afterward, McGregor wrote on X, "I am beyond dark here. I can only describe it as hell," but insisted, "The devil is literally staring at me. I am not engaging." He added, "I will be at church tomorrow. I will overcome this. I will not be deterred. I will return." On Instagram, McGregor later declared, "Through Christ, my mind is strong," calling himself a child of God and outlining his plan: surgery, prehab, return to martial arts practice, go again. Thank you for listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast. We encourage you to follow the show in your podcast player of choice, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or third-party podcast players like Overcast and Pocket Casts. You can also download the Edifi app for free and listen to all the podcasts on the Edifi network by clicking the link in today's podcast show notes. We would also appreciate a 5-star rating in Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help us reach a wider audience with the Christian Post Daily Podcast. You can also subscribe to our daily newsletter and get the top headlines delivered to your inbox by clicking that link in the show notes as well. Thank you again for listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast.